Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how I built an Octagon deer blind for on our farm. Enjoy! So here's the blind. It just rained several inches the last 2 days, so everything's really wet, but it looks like it stayed dry in here. So I'll show you my window method. I was concerned they would leak, but it doesn't look like it. Maybe a little bit. You can see a little bit of water on the floor over there. Probably came in that window. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with how hard it rained and how windy it was. But the way I built this, I built a hexagon frame on the floor out of treated lumber and set it on top of the deck and screwed it down. You can see it here. I RTV'd, or actually window and door caulking all those joints, even the corners, and then around all the windows. I used geotextile or roof fabric on the roof in case the roof gets any leaks. That way this stuff is it's waterproof too, so it won't let water through. So that's underneath the shingles. I use drip edge and then regular shingles. Put a drip edge on the north facing or uphill side. And framed out these corners with I took 2x4s and ripped them in half and then framed these out to give them some strength. I mean, I could stand up there and it's pretty sturdy. I got outdoor carpet and glued it down in just a couple places. That way if I ever have to tear it up, I can. The windows are just plexiglass. They're 1/8 inch sheet. These windows are 12x32. And these are the Archery windows. So you can see there's a shot into the food plot there. Same with over here, here, and here. These are 12x24. These are 16x24. These are the rifle windows. And those are on 3 of the corners. The door doesn't have a window, and the reason I did that is I plan to I want to put a wood stove right here, or like a buddy heater. And I plan to have a heat over here. And I don't plan to shoot that way anyway, because that way is the barn and houses and stuff. So I just bought one of these I think it's a shed door latch. The door works really good. It's really tight. I framed out the door. Basically, all the framing is 2x4s. For the corners, I did 2x4. I ripped it at a 22.5 degree angle, and then nailed them back together with 3-inch nails every, foot or so. So they're at an angle for the Octagon. And then all the framing for the windows, the door, is all ripped 2x4s. They're ripped in half. So basically 3.5 inches ripped in half. So 1 3/4 wide by 1.5 inches thick. It's really sturdy. The roof, I wanted to keep it, I didn't want to have to worry about doing any sealant or anything. So what I did was I basically copied the floor, but don't forget to make it a little bit bigger than the floor because it's at an angle. So it's going to be shorter once it's at an angle. You need your hypotenuse of your triangle is longer. So make sure to make that longer. And I wanted it flat so that it's sealed to the walls. That way I didn't have, if these were vertical like a normal joist, you would have to seal all that. And I didn't want to have to worry about that, so I laid all this flat. Basically, this perimeter serves as my seal. It sits right on top of these studs. Nails, I actually screwed the roof down at every stud, 2 screws. And then I just set my roof decking on top of that, and then nailed it into these joists. And they're just, instead of normal vertical joists, they're just on their side. I mean, I weigh 210, 220 pounds with clothes on, and I had no problems holding me when I was up there roofing it. And then I roofed it with shingles. The back edge is, I believe, 6.5 feet tall. The front edge, I think it's 3-to-1 for shingles. I think is what I did. So I think it's 90 some inches up front. It's just what it worked out to be. I wanted the back at least so I could stand with a bow. So I think it's 6'6" back here. Sorry about this whole a couple months ago. I forget the exact measurements, but basically however tall you want it to be so that you can shoot your bow. That's what I made the back. And then I used the slope based on whatever roofing material you're using. In my case, I use shingles, so I looked up the recommended slope for shingles. I think it was 3-to-1. And, you know, set the back or your shortest side as the height that you want to be able to shoot a bow, draw and shoot a bow standing. And then let the high side be whatever it kind of works out to be. In this case, it's 90 some inches, so it's pretty tall. The way I built my windows is I use plexiglass, cut it into 2-inch by 1-inch tabs, like that, and then screwed it. Sorry, lost the camera angle. 2-inch by 1-inch, and put a little screw, and these just pivot. Pretty quiet. I bought hinges on Amazon. I think these were, oh man, I think they were less than $1 a piece. I know they were. I can put the link in the description below. I'll do that. Again, 1/8 inch plexiglass. I cut it with a oscillating saw and then sanded the edges just to make them smooth. And what I did was I left the blue protective covering on these windows. It was on both sides of the sheet I bought. It had protective film on both sides, and I left that on, and I put some masking tape on the perimeter on the outside. And what I did was I installed the windows, fit them where I wanted them, and then I went on the outside and I laid down my silicone caulking, laid a heavy bead against the painter's tape or the masking tape, let that cure for about a day, and then actually when I put the masking tape on, I rubbed a little bit of like Teflon lube on the masking tape so that the silicone wouldn't stick to the masking tape. And then about a day after this cured, I basically opened the window and was able to pry it away from the silicone. And left pretty much a perfect seal. I'll show you this one. Stick into the silicone a little bit, but it doesn't leave any residue. But in the beaten in the sun, it sticks a little bit. But let's see if I can get it to focus here. It's not perfect, and now it's leaking a little bit of water now that I popped the window open. But before I did that, it was fully sealed up. So that's what I did. Could have probably put a little bit thicker bead on. I might put a thicker bead on eventually, but for now it seems to be sealing up really well. It's low cost, you know, essentially doesn't cost anything. I think I picked up these tubes, window and door caulking, for, I think they were like $2 or $3 at Rural King. Sheet of plexiglass I bought at a plastic retailer. I think it was like $70 for a 4x8 sheet. And I was able to make all the windows out of one sheet. And I think I had a 4x3 square left on that sheet. So just over half a sheet makes all these windows. So pretty low cost. If you divide that in half, it's less than $40 to make your windows. Use some outdoor carpet to make a gun rest for the north window, because this is the window we're gonna hopefully be doing most of the shooting out of. That's our view. That's about it as far as the build goes. The walls are just... I forgot to mention in this video when I was recording it that these little black tabs are how I hold the rifle windows open. The archery windows, they open to the side, so when they're open, they hold themselves in place. And I'm able to open all the windows at the same time. None of them interfere with each other. So if you were to kind of follow the same dimensions that I use, then you won't have any interference issues with the windows. But the archery windows hold themselves. The rifle windows, since I'm flipping them up and out of the way, I didn't want them hanging down towards our feet. And if you're trying to set up for a shot, bump it and crack it or something. So I flip them up out of the way, and to hold them in place, I use a little, I think it's about 16th inch ABS plastic sheet. I trimmed it, same thing, I think it's 2 inches long by 1 inch wide, and I put a little screw, and that sheet of ABS is flexible, so when I flip the window up, I rotate it out of the way and then kind of bend it and flip it down over the plexiglass window, and it holds it in place really well. 1/2 inch plywood. These corner walls are I put it early in the video, or I'll put it later in the video, one or the other. I think they're 31.1 inches outside corner to corner. And then the big rifled window walls are 40 inches. 40, let me think about that for a second. 40 inches from corner to corner. And that basically, that math works out so that you have 7 feet across on the outside. And I wanted plenty of room for the kids to be able to fit in here with heater and snacks and, you know, whatever else to keep them entertained. And I wanted to be comfortable and be able to sit in here with my brother and my friends, have plenty of room, make lots of memories. So I'll show you the outside real quick. So some of these longer sheets, I used some recycled wood from crates, but any sheet that I didn't have that wasn't long enough, like I said, these front sheets had to be like, they were a little over 8 feet, I think, 90 some inches, maybe just under 8 feet, like 92 or 94 inches. If I didn't have a sheet long enough, I cut it and then seamed it and used window and door caulk and then put a stud here. And I needed that stud for the window framing anyway, so I just used that stud to secure the seam of the sheets too. But every other wall is, if it was less than 8 feet, basically, it's one sheet. I think you could do this with 8-foot sheets. Just in my case, like I said, I was using scraps, so I didn't have all 8-foot sheets, but these back panels are all one piece. No joints, but the front 3 panels do have a joint to them. And the door, I had some hinges off the barn. They worked pretty good. They're heavy duty. And then again, I used 2x4s and cut it in half, so 1.5 inches thick by 1 3/4 inches wide. I framed the interior just a little bit smaller than the framing on the cabin. And then I basically framed everything out and cut the door out of it, so that the only thing you lose is the kerf from the saw blade cut. It gives you about a perfect seal around this door so you don't get any weather intrusion. And then eventually it gives you a flange here if you ever want to put like weather seal or anything. It would seal against this and this. So it worked out pretty good. I did notice that even with this door latched, I mean, it's very tight, but this top corner, it doesn't really stick out much, but just a little bit. So I put an extra latch for secure. I might do it on the bottom too. You can see it sticks out a little bit on the bottom. But that's it. I'll give you one more look here. These are the steps I built. I set these posts in the ground to give it some support in the middle, put a handrail up. I used telephone poles, 4 corners, 4x3s to frame it, and big lag bolts through the telephone pole. 1 on each corner for each 4x3, so there's 2 in each corner. And then screwed the 3/4 inch treated decking to that, and then 2x4 joists or studs with joist hangers, Simpson Hurricane ties. I have a shooting bench underneath here that I use the wire spool and cut the seats right out of that. If you have any questions on how I made that, I think I have some pictures or videos. And I made like a little workbench, set your gun for cleaning supplies and stuff, or if you're multiple people are shooting, you can hang out together, and then just a little wall for keeping the weather out from underneath. Sometimes we store stuff under here when we're shooting. And then we have a range here. The range goes out to 450 yards, every 50-yard increments pretty much. Farthest gong is about out there. But that's it. Like I said, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I can give you advice on what I did. So far I'm happy with it, but it's only a few months old at this point, so maybe after hunting season I might have some things I would have done differently, but at this point I'm happy.
not film or have the intention to make a video when I started this, so basically I don't have any footage other than some of the photos and clips I took, some Snapchats during the build process. The first photo is when I gathered the telephone poles and dug the post holes. Here's after I had the post set and the 4x3s attached. Here it is once I trimmed off the telephone poles, flush with the top of the 4x3s, and bolted everything together. Then I added a back wall, so that's after I framed it out before I attached the barnwood siding to it. The next photo is after I attached the siding. Again, this is just to block some weather in case we're storing anything in there while we're shooting. This is the night that I finished installing the deck. I built this in March, so it got dark around, I don't know, 5 or 6. This is the next day after the deck's down. I think I added more screws to it this day, and I was pretty excited to get that down, so just taking a video of the view. And there happened to be some deer out feeding, which was pretty neat. These are the stairs I got from a construction site. I used the torch to burn them, to try to, they're not treated wood, so I used the torch to try to treat them a little bit, protect them from the weather. Me and a friend installed these and we got really excited. We attached them up top but didn't secure them or have them resting on anything below, and we actually both went to walk up them, and that bottom stair tread broke right off because we had too much weight on it without any support. So that was my repair, kind of a patch job. But it's worked really well. This is after the stairs are attached. We made like a little landing with pavers to keep the water and dirt off of the wood because they aren't treated. This is after I added the first post and handrail. I thought that'd be enough, but it actually was not sturdy enough for me, so I decided to add a second one. So right here you see the second post. I actually used like landscaping posts for that. You know, like the ones you use for a garden. Here is when I was using CAD to get the dimensions for the wall. You can pause it here and get those dimensions. Like I said, the rifle walls are 40 inches wide and the archery walls are 31.1. Here's where me and the family went and get some supplies. Here is the first night I started this project. I used my dad had a miter saw here. I used it to I had a lot of angle cuts, so it was really helpful in the process. This is my son helping me paint the panels. I pre-built these in sections to make it easier to assemble. This is me, my brother, and my son putting screws in the deck right before we decided to start building the frame. Everyone's pretty excited. This is my family, my dad and brother here helping me. They helped me put the walls up and the roof on. Like I said, I built them in sections, so it was nice. Saved a lot of time, so we just had to basically hold them in place and then run the air nailer, tie it all together. This was one evening where I was doing some roofing, I believe. Yeah, so I had a ladder going up to the top, and pretty nice sunset that night. I was running a generator to run my air compressor to run my air tools. I used the air roof nailer.
Same time, same spot.
This is taking a video of there was geese that would fly over that same spot every single night while I was building this project. It was over, I don't know, probably a week and a half time period. I was there every evening after work. Here's some deer out in the field. This is after I got the shingles on. Turned out really nice. I used seconds, they call them. They are basically got defects from the factory, and I paid $70 for a square of shingles, and one square was plenty to do this roof, so it cost me $70. I bought some flashing. That was, I don't know, $7 a piece. I bought 3 pieces. Here's after I got the inside, the windows on. Like I said, I left that blue film on until after I put the window and door caulking in. That helped a lot that way. And there's that blue masking tape you saw that I rubbed the Teflon on so that the caulking didn't stick to the windows. So I felt like this was kind of the end of the project this night. I was really excited. This is the north window. I added just a little bit of an extension to that 2x4 stud thing and put some treated lumber. And that's the final product before I took the window film off. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I will help you anywhere that I can.